Welcome to Center of Light.
Access granted.
Are you with me? I have a phenomenal interview tonight. Welcome to Center of Light. Keith Anthony Blanchard here, Center of Divine Unfoldment and Reinforcement. Strap in all my brother and sister astral knots as we launch for inner space. That is what we're going to be talking about tonight, in fact. Inner space. Tonight, my guest is Elizabeth April. And we are going way inside the rabbit hole, the cosmic rabbit holes. I'm excited to talk to this beautiful young lady. She is what I would call first wave of children was the indigo children, the rainbow children, the crystal children, and I think there's now a diamond children. Our point is, with each wave of children, not that she's a child, that's not what I'm implying, but she is youthful, come in, the greater the divine robustness and bang is. You will discover that in your time with me and our time with her. She's unbridled. What I mean by that? She's going to trigger you. And that's a beautiful thing. In a very powerful, beautiful, illumined way. Things she's going to be sharing with you are not going to be of your normal processing, as well as what you think reality is. So what I invite you to do is just let go. Just let go. Imagine yourself, you got your popcorn, you used the bathroom, and you're sitting in a movie theater, and you're going to watch the new Matrix that's coming out, Matrix 4, because it's an opportunity just to let go and let magic, miracles, and possibility happen, fantasy happen. Fantasize, because you will be pleasurized by this very cosmic young lady, star being. She truly is. I'm not just saying this as Facebook spiritual woo-woo. You will see. I do want to say that for the last 45 minutes, I've been having a song. There's someone in this room tonight who will understand this. A song in my head, and it would not leave. It just would not leave. Simply would not leave. Let me move this microphone back. I think I'm distorting it. It would not leave. And what was that song? It was Muskrat Love. Oh my God. I love the song. What a great energy. After 15, 20 times of hearing it, I don't want to hear it anymore. Muskrat Love. And so I want to address a dear friend, sister person, beautiful soul of mine. And I'm going to hopefully I will ask that of my guest tonight. So my friend, who you know that you are, if you don't hear me bring this up within an ample amount of time, please send me a message. I would like to make sure that gets covered for you because I love you beyond measure. Welcome to Center of Light Radio. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've achieved a listening audience of over 4+ million people. I'm grateful. It is a brag. I want to say thank you, Keith, for achieving the accolades, the reflections, the validations that every person in life seeks. Some people may not seek that, but on some level, the not seeking that is a seeking of that. Because we're all trying to prove a point to ourselves about a something or another, whether it's a conscious proving or an unconscious proving. So, all that being said, I want to say thank you for being here, everyone. I'm going to grab a group of links really quick. One moment. My friend just sent me that reminder. And my friend, I want to say, if you don't hear me bring that up soon, remind me again. So I'm copying these links. Hello, Gloria. This is my work. This is my life. To purchase my bestseller, I have a brand new book coming out soon, worldwide distribution and publishing. It's all contained in what I just posted here. All that being said, let me look at my message from my sister again. I don't know what that means. Um, I think it's time to get down to Center of Light Radio. Beeswax. I'm multitasking. I got new software. I got new this and that. Everything looks good. My guest says, Keith, are you ready? Yes, I'm ready. Let me get her on. Hang on. So, everyone, I have Elizabeth April on the line, and I'm going to keep her waiting. I'm a bastard that way. No, I want to introduce you to Elizabeth. I want to call her April. I don't know why I want to say it April Elizabeth, but I want to give you a quick bio. And she was so on point. She gave me a very powerful short bio. Let's see. Let me get right down to it. Elizabeth, I want to acknowledge her in these words. I hope she takes them from the heart space that I intend them. She's indigo upgrade, rainbow upgrade. She's crystal upgrade. As what you were not privy to a minute ago was that I was describing what I see in you. One was all those new waves of children coming in. Not that you're a child. You're a firecracker. I love that word. And you are a powerhouse. Let me tell you about my guest tonight. Let me put some background music on. I have to do this because I live near an industrial train station. And when that ground gets to shaking, you would think it's the New Madrid fault. Let me put on some Buddhist monk chant. It will drone it out. It'll create a wonderful platform, energy that we can launch from, right? So give me one moment, everyone. Let me adjust a few things. And it just totally drowns out the, to some degree. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go to the listening audience. Listening audience, now that I have the what I think the background could be to my vocal, does everything sound okay? If something sounds, send me an exclamation point if everything sounds okay. If not, send me a question mark. How's that? Until then, I want to tell you about my guest tonight. My guest tonight is Elizabeth April, and we are speaking. Oh my God, I'm so excited about this interview. In fact, you're not going to hear it. It's not going to happen. I just realized that. So, that being said, background rumbly. Let me tell you about my guest tonight on Center of Light Radio. Sorry about the hesitation, Elizabeth. Elizabeth April is a cosmic intuitive channeler who has the ability to go into other realms and dimensions in order to gain access to information through vibration and visuals. By having the ability to explore past lives, Elizabeth works with individuals who want to comprehend their past, present, and future. Elizabeth April is most excited about exploring the topics of spiritual awakening, cosmic disclosure, and quantum physics. Whether you are sitting in her audience watching her YouTube channel, she has tons of followers, or getting an individual reading, the insights channeled through her will leave you feeling in tune with the limitless possibilities existing in the universe. You can find more about my guest. Let me grab that link before I bring her on and post it. Y'all stomp all over her beautiful page. So let me get her on this page so she and I can get on the same page. Let's see. Welcome to Center of Light Radio, dear.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I'm scared of you. No, I'm not. I'm using that to lean into some fun. You have this amazing smile. It's part of your star childness. I called you a firecracker because I've been watching you. I love it. You are lumen. You are on fire. You have this power. You have this alignment about you. Let me ask you this straight off the bat. Were you born with, we're all born with this, but take in the context. Were you born with this, or did something transpire in your life that you said, oh my God, there has to be something better? Most people choose unconsciously pain as the catalyst to get them to the place of you, myself, many people of the like. How did this go down for you, dear?
Yeah. So I was born, thankfully, with extrasensory abilities. So especially, I do a lot of processing and downloading through visuals. So auras, chakras, um, interdimensional beings, spirits, ghosts, those were all things that I was able to tap into at a very young age. I also have very conscious memories of doing a lot of astral traveling, lucid dreaming when I was a kid as well. I remember around the age of 4 years old, I was in my basement at my parents' house, and I was really curious to see what it was like to be a cat. So in that moment, during the day, I hopped out of my body and I hopped into the body of my childhood cat just to kind of feel what it felt like to be her. And it was a pretty wild, very intense experience. But I was doing these things very organically, very naturally at a young age. Now, of course, my childhood wasn't without its challenges and karmic clearings. So I was born and raised Catholic, which was kind of contradictory to some of the beliefs or some of the experiences, I should say. I didn't really have beliefs back in that time, but I told my dad that I was talking to God at a young age because the church told us that if you were talking to something that we weren't able to see necessarily, it's either the devil or it's God. So, of course, I would say that this being that I was talking to was God because it was a very pleasant experience and very lovely connection. But of course, I told my dad that the Bible had it wrong and that God was actually a woman because this being that I was talking to happened to be a Palladian
How
woman.
did that work? How did he
you
take
know,
that?
honestly, he was pretty open to it. He's like, "Oh, and what is God telling you?" And I would, ramble on about energy or love or whatever it may be. But luckily, both of my parents were pretty open at a young age, so he was pretty open and supportive. But it's funny looking back on that experience and telling him that at the age of 6 now, because I'm like, I was quite audacious to say that the entire religion and the whole Bible had it wrong, and me at this age of 6 years old had it right. I mean, of course, God is a female. Everyone else has got it wrong. So, that was kind of my upbringing. I definitely got bullied when I was younger. I would go over to my friend's house and see their grandparents who had passed away already. And I got a lot of bullying in the sense of like, oh, you're lying about this, right? And so the persecution for me started at quite a young age for being able to tap into a reality or a dimension that not everyone was able to tap into. And I'm so glad that I got bullied at that time for that in particular, because it allowed me to clear a lot of that energy at a young age. Nowadays, I mean, I still get the "you're crazy" comments. I mean, of course, who doesn't in this field? But I'm just so beyond that comment, and I don't take on the responsibility for anyone else deciding to watch my videos because ultimately that was their free will choice to come to my channel. Like, I'm not pushing this on anyone, right? So that stuff doesn't affect me. But I definitely went through, the closure of my spiritual abilities at the age of 10. I shut everything off. I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to have friends. I just wanted to, be normal. And who doesn't go through that phase in their own awakening process? And so I shut everything down. I played a lot of sports. I got really heavily involved into the physical world, of course, through athletics. And then at
I saw
the age
your
of
six
14,
pack.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I saw your six pack. Very, very awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's definitely some alien DNA because I don't really have to work a lot at being in shape, which is a pretty low maintenance life, a pretty low maintenance human life, which is nice. And so, but at the age of 14, I went through a heavy depression. I really truly started to question my reality. In shutting off my spiritual abilities, I shut off my divine connections. And I remember probably 15, 16 years old looking around thinking to myself, if this is it, if this is like all that there is, if I'm going to school, then going to more school and getting into debt and then getting into a relationship and settling in for a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life, if that's what life is about, like count me out. Like I'm out of here because that's like hell to me. I couldn't live a life like that. And so I definitely went through my dark period, suicidal thoughts, a lot of anxiety, and so that kind of transmuted into my first big awakening at the age of 16, and that's when I started questioning things, and I went to those deeper levels, and of course, the universe stumbled across this beautiful past life regression at the age of 16. And that really blew my reality open when I had a past life regression. And I started to explore and dive into different lifetimes on this planet. And that really opened me up to the possibility of reincarnation, and it opened me up to the possibility of simultaneous time. And that opened up a can of worms of, oh, great, there is so much more. And, I'm here for a reason because I'm
But
getting.
what did you do to get there? Okay, understand that you were born this way. Baby,
Yeah.
I was born this way. I mean, I get that, and that's beautiful. But when getting married, producing children, 9 to 5, was just not something you were ever going to accept as a possible reality. That in itself had to be the primordial or most integral shift that one could make to such a degree like this is not the earth that I chose to come to. So one, the momentum began to fire up in you.
Mhm.
Did everything just exponentiate for you to where it came easy and oh my god, how do I know this? Or did you have to do some grunting and some work to actually open up these gateways?
Once again, it was kind of a reemergence of those abilities coming through, but in shutting them down, I did the grunt work, which is I like heavily questioned my reality for 2 or 3 years. I went to doctors, I went to psychologists, I went to counselors, I spoke to my high school friends, I spoke to my high school teachers, I spoke to my parents. I even went to a priest to ask him, tell me, please, what is the meaning of life? What are we doing here? Why are we all here? Like, what's the point? What's the purpose? Where are we going? What are we learning? Like, what is going on? And every single time I went to any sort of authority figure, which I figured should have the answers, I was met with blank stares and disappointing answers every single time. And that's what led me. Well, that's actually what led my father to suggesting to me a past life regression. And at that point in time, I was open to anything. Like I didn't know past lifetimes existed. I wasn't really tuned into those frequencies. I didn't really remember a whole lot of what my childhood was about. But the past life regression opened up that can of worms for me. That's when I started astral traveling, lucid dreaming, telepathically communicating, practicing all of those things again, deep diving into that metaphysical world was only after that past life regression. And then I started doing past life regressions on other people, literally anyone who would even just give me a chance to show them. I wanted to help them understand and have the awakening that I had. And of course, not everyone had such an awakening as I had with one past life regression. But I started to help other people awaken and understand that this is not their first rodeo. They've been here
Let me ask you
before.
this. Let me ask you this, Angel.
Yeah.
In your first past life regression, the one that wow, or any of the ones that you're doing now or have come to learn of, are they in any way tied to the work you are doing now? In other words, I'm going to hypothetical. My past life, I was an alien. I'm a Pleiadian person, and that's why I'm here today to remember that and bring it. I mean, Does that play out for you that way?
Absolutely. I mean, at this point in time, like I will stub my toe and remember a past lifetime where my toe was cut off and what lesson I was learning by bringing that moment into this reality. So I'm in a very lucid, very quantum state in my state right now where I'm remembering and releasing and forgiving, all of these past lifetimes. But that first past
I
life
understand
regression,
that you're
yeah.
talking about the divine swirl. I'm just making this up. I get it. It's like my life is no longer choppy. I'm no longer 9 to 5. I'm not saying that 9 to 5 are people is that. That's not what I'm not trying to
Right.
quantify it that way for anyone. So my point is, as long as we're not in this pattern, when we get out of the absolute of the cyclical habitual pattern, things begin a little more swirling. When you basically, or are you saying that when you find yourself planted in a movement of divine energy that will never stop. In other words, I know who I am in this divine dance. Then we begin to become more accessible to all the different realities, the different past lives that just exist simply past, present, and future. We become conscious of the hologram. Is that what's happening to you?
Absolutely.
That's what's happening to you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Breaking through the matrix, seeing everything for what it is, and tapping into the infinite amount of parallel realities existing around us. And I, started understanding that time was simultaneous and it was just a construct of this dimension back when I was 16. And that first past life regression for me, of course, that was led. And now I just kind of tune into it myself. But that really revealed that I've been a channeler, a shaman, a teacher, a healer, a philosopher in lifetime after lifetime. And coming from that experience, I instantly knew finally, I know my purpose, I know my mission, I know why I'm here to once again receive that information and spread that knowledge to humanity.
So let me ask you that question, and I mean this sincerely in all love, because why are you here? I would truly love to know that answer, because you are a mirror for me. I have that very same cosmic swirl, that connection. I know why I am here, and I, as your brother and sister to me, why are you here? What is your gig?
Yeah, and it's beautiful. Like I find souls all over the planet. Like I have people messaging me saying, "Hey, I was a lawyer for 10 years and I just woke up and I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know if I can swear with this information. I don't know what I can do with this download, right? So it's beautiful how people are waking up and finding their purpose and their mission. Ultimately, for me, I would say I am just a conduit for universal truth and information. I mean, the conduit is probably the biggest thing. And I've struggled for years, and I don't know if you have too, but I've struggled for years with the balance between it's not about me, has nothing to do with me as a human, has nothing to do with me as a teacher. It's about the knowledge and information. But for about 2 years between the age of 18 and 19, 18 and 20, I decided to like shut off my ego. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to have an ego. That thing is not serving me. I want to get rid of it. And so for 2 solid years, I literally became a robot. And I always said, nope, I'm just a conduit. I'm just a teacher. I'm just a funneler of information. It's the universe. It's not me. It's not me. And after those 2 years, I had a pretty big fight on my hands with my own human saying, you don't love me. You're not respecting me. You're not taking care of me. It's not just about the universe and the truth and the information. It's also about me as a human, right? So it's just kind of been a
I
little bit of a battle.
love my ego. I love him. I love him to death. I love giving it what it wants, even if it's not spiritually correct, politically, spiritually correct.
Yeah,
I don't give a.
right.
I just don't. I want a
Yep,
shot. I'll take me a shot. I want to do this. I'm going to go do this. And I started
right. Good for
realizing,
you.
I've actually, Elizabeth, many years ago, healed a very wounded, divisive aspect of myself. So
Mm.
instead of I'm going to smite the ego and squash it, I said, "Come here, let's have a talk." I, as the spirit, know that you will never get what you want. And you're always talking and yakking and bitching at me, saying I won't feel better about myself until I get this thing. Okay, I heard you. As the spirit, trust me that I'm the one that can get it because you can't, as to why you keep yammering in my head. If you sit
Right.
down and be quiet for a little while and let me do what I need to do and stop distracting me from getting what you want, ultimately, I'm going to give you that very same thing and beyond what you ever thought possible. And
Hmm.
my mind shut down just like that. The voice inside of my head became quiet, patiently waiting, maybe whittling on a stick or, biding his time, but he's waiting. And I had peace within myself greatly, sort of what you're describing.
Hmm. Absolutely, yeah. It really is all about that harmony and that balance and that love and that alignment between our physical and our metaphysical selves. And that kind of your story kind of reminds me of a couple of years ago. I was getting inundated with downloads and information and quantum physics and all of this. I don't want to say useless stuff because it's pretty divine information, but not really necessary for me in the moment as a human. And so I basically had to tell all of my interdimensional beings, my guides, who were like, "Oh, write this book. Oh, do this. Oh, do this." They wanted me to do everything at warp speed, and ultimately, I'm like, I'm a human, and I live within space and time, and I have to do things one thing at a time. So back off. I literally told all my gray family members to like back off. Like I chose to be a human. Let me enjoy my life. Let me just live a little bit and integrate. And so um yeah, so I have definitely funny interactions with interdimensional beings just because they process information at a much higher rate and they are more in a quantum state. So if they think it, if they want to do it, it's there. We're getting there, but we're still battling this whole time and space reality.
I would like to ask you something. I know that you are a channel, and even I know you so well. The reason I know you so well is because I know myself. And when I look at you, I don't see me. I see you, but it's such a reminder. It's a memory. It's familiar.
Hmm.
I know that when you get into the zone of your presentation, maybe you do with the times I have seen you. I've never seen you actually say, I'm going to go into channel mode. I've never seen you do that.
Right.
In fact, you don't have to. And I understand that if you do it to let people know this is what it looks like when I intend to shift, or whether that's truly part of your formal way of saying, I'm going in. And I do the same. Sometimes I say, I want you to see what it looks like. You can do what I
Hmm.
do, or you can use what I do to inspire you to do it your own way. This is how I shift. And so I go into Yanava, is what I call it, mode, and I shift and I'm right there. How is it for you? When I see you do your presentations, you are just naturally vesseling. It's just light that drapes you. In fact, it's not something draping you. It's something you have brought with you in this mission, in this life, that's crossfading from a multidimensional time to where it's the same thing happening from there to here. So I see that in you. That's very effortless for me.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think when I'm in live video, it just kind of streams out. And sometimes I don't even know that I'm in this very lucid state of being able to be very grounded, but accessing some depths of information. When I'm with a one-on-one client, I think it takes a little bit more concentration. And I do close my eyes and I do open my third eye consciously and tune into their vibration. And I think the reason why it requires a little bit more concentration is because it's not necessarily my information or information that I've ever accessed before with an individual client. It's a little bit more specific and niche. I really believe that the information that I'm accessing as at a universal truth level is all information that I have experienced in multitudes of past lifetimes, both on and off this planet. So it's easy for me to kind of recall or bring that information in. The beautiful part is I'm not necessarily taking it from anywhere in particular. I'm actually just accessing it from within. Like we have this incredible Akash, full of information that a lot of us, don't really believe that we
Let me
have or
let
that
me
we're
ask you
powerful.
this. Let me ask you this, Elizabeth. My apologies for interrupting you, but you said something that is very, very delicious, and I agree or disagree because I'm curious because it feels this way to me. I don't think I'm accessing information from within. I don't. I am the information. Would that
Right.
be a truer statement? I mean, I understand you using that verbiage to describe from within, and I get all that. But does it feel more correct or more accurate for you to see this? Yes, I get it. We're accessing information. We are. But what it comes down to when we get there, we realize it's we that is the information. We are in a formation. Would that be true for you, dear?
Absolutely. I mean, that just really comes down to semantics, but we are we are the information, right? And I believe that the word accessing is still true to form because when we think about, I call it 5D memory, and this is something that I've channeled throughout the years. So 3D memory, we can think about, the thoughts, feelings, actions, emotions, reactions from the past contained within our third dimensional density brain, right? 5D memory is basically all of the actions, reactions, memories, emotions, whatever, from all time, both past and future, that are contained within our soul, right? I mean, that's a quantum state of information. So when I say accessing, that information is always there within you. It is you. But we have to funnel it, we have to direct that information. And a lot of us don't realize that we are in absolute divine control of the information that we receive, but we have to direct it. We have to, ask for what it is that we want. A lot of us are, even in the spiritual space, very passive about the information and the vibrations that come in. But we can be quite active about this. And the way I like to consider it is a Google, right? I consider myself a universal Google. I consider every human on this planet a universal Google, which basically means that we have the power and the consciousness strong enough to clear our minds of our current state of being in this linear third dimension reality and open up, infinite amounts of information. But before we receive any of that information, we have to search in that Google search bar, right? Google is, in a way, infinite amounts of information on this planet, but ultimately we have to ask Google what it is that we want, right? We have to direct the search engine. So I believe that our soul, in a lot of ways, is this fifth dimensional memory deposit, this universal Google, and it's there for us. But a lot of us just wait. We're like waiting to be contacted by our spirit guides. We're waiting for this miraculous moment to happen. Stop waiting, start acting, and start directing, and become the sole source of information in your own life, and bring that, access that in.
What a freaking phenomenal response to me bringing up that you are the information. That was just very poetic, dear. And I watched you the entire time just ooze that off of you effortlessly. And I know what it's like. It took me a little more work than you because I'm a little older, so I'm come from a little much of an older world. But I know what it's like to be in that place. Would you describe in your best attempt, because it's almost indescribable, when you, for example, like you just went into that thing, that place, that space, what does it feel like to be you when you're in that zone, just oozing that divine energy? What does it feel like?
It feels like the most amount of divine flow. Like it's almost like if you could imagine yourself kind of in one of those deprivation tanks. That's what my soul feels like when I'm in that space, when nothing else exists, but everything exists all at the same time. Like I am in the middle of the epitome of everything and nothing, and anything is possible. And I find that the only way I ever get caught up in this stream of channeling is, I mean, nowadays I don't really question it. So there's really not that self doubt there as there was maybe at the beginning. But ultimately, when I catch myself up, it's like, where do I begin explaining this download? Where do I begin? Like, how do I even translate this? Usually it's small enough bite-sized pieces where I can translate on the go. But when I have to stop and really think about it is when I'm saying, what do I say first? How do I lay this out? And how do I translate this in the language that I speak with the limitations of the words that I have in my vocabulary?
Center of Light Radio, hanging out with my brand new friend, but my cosmic sister, Elizabeth April, and we are speaking about quantum leaping. In fact, we haven't started speaking about that yet. And I do want to ask my beautiful guest tonight shortly a question, and we're going to get the answer, hopefully, if she's open to the idea, on the backside from a dear friend of mine. Elizabeth, whatever modality, principle, dance, technique, method you use to fall into that, which you're already in there. But I want to pose a question to you if you feel like you want to answer it for my friend. Her husband, this is odd, He is very prone now in his life to earworms. You know what an earworm is?
Mm.
He gets a song in his head and he's getting them multiply at the same time, and they're all sounding off in his head, and it's really really wearing on him. And he's a very spiritual man, very spiritual man, and for whatever reasons it's there. So whatever your sources you have, if you don't have none that come through, by all means, that's fine. But let's get back to that. So everyone, tonight my guest is Miss Elizabeth April. We're speaking about quantum leap. I'm going to go into a very small pause. Going to be right back. I'm learning a new dance. Forgive me. Be patient with me. I know you are, and I love you for it. Lavender Soul, new album coming out really soon. We started writing. We did our first recording session. July 31st, Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. Spawned by my bestseller, The Divine Principle, Anchoring Heaven on Earth. Worldwide distribution, July 31st, 2020. I'm excited. Oh my God, I love it. Gonna be right back, Center of Light Radio. Stick around.
I lift you up to your most high. Cherish the time when you walk by. I see you in my life for all time. I've touched your face 1,000 lifetimes. I know the way you talk in rhymes. The breath you take is part of mine. As you float before my eyes, you touch my hand, it makes me cry. Just to know you're there. Just to know you're there. So here we go again. Lifeless ones with a friend. Another chance to let love in. And in another life, our eyes will meet one more time. I see you in my life for all time.
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio. Boy, they are whipping it up tonight at the train station. Let me put some Buddhist chant on. Wow, I love it. It's great at night when you're sleeping. The ground rumbles in this beautiful way. And the train, when it blows off its whistle, it's very, very haunting, which is quite cool. Not doing an interview. Welcome back to Center of Light Radio. How is the volume between my voice and the Buddhist monks? It's like they're hiring new people, and it's getting more louder. It's getting louder. It's simply just getting louder. Welcome to Center of Light Radio tonight. I am hanging out with Elizabeth April, and we are speaking about quantum leaping. Let me turn that Buddhist chant. I'm just having a blast with this, actually. I think that should do it. So welcome back, everyone. Let me get my guest on here shortly. And here she is. Hello, dear.
Hello again.
Thanks for your patience with me. I'm just having a blast, like I always do. Before the break, I asked you a question. Is it something that you would like to meet? It was simply a friend of mine who I love dearly. His husband is having quite a few earworms, and it's just really weighing on his energy. And it's tiring, it's taxing, and there's a bug in my face. Thank you. And it's tiring, it's taxing, and as you might imagine how a person would feel with such a thing. Is there anything you can offer?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can tune into his energy, see what's going on. So I'm not familiar with the term earworms, but basically you explained it as he's getting
A song won't
music,
leave his head.
song.
It's just there.
Okay.
It's just
Okay.
there, and it won't stop.
Okay, cool. And what's his first name?
His name is Ram.
Ram. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Okay, so it is definitely, a spiritual experience that's going on, definitely metaphysical rather than obviously physical. A lot of these symptoms that people are experiencing are. So I tuned into his guides, his spirit guides, to see what they wanted to say about what was going on. And they said that it was basically either going to be these songs that are playing over and over in his mind, or it was going to be like tinnitus. And that's not really the word that I want to use, but basically ringing in the ears. And what they said was that there's something that he's not listening to. And even if he's aware enough to be listening to his own thoughts and to be listening to his reality, he's not, what did they say? Oh, yeah, he's not taking action and analyzing and processing whatever it is that he's listening to. So what's coming up right now is basically a bit of a psychic push for him to start listening up to the reality around him and start listening to, the small synchronicities and things that happen. And then going a little bit deeper and saying, well, why is this happening? Why did I get that word or that message or that song? So what they actually recommend for him, and they said that this is going to allow him to stop these earworms, which is every song that he has playing in his mind at the time when it's playing, they want him to look up the song, they want him to listen to the song in full, and they want him to ask himself what message he is receiving from each song. So each song has some sort of message for him. And even they said it's not like he has to write an essay per song, even if it's one word of like disappointment. Okay, so then the song feels like disappointment. So then why am I disappointed? Or why is this energy of disappointment coming to me? So it's about going to those deeper levels and him understanding why these songs are coming up, and essentially him really learning and understanding, what he's being told and listening as a whole. So that's kind of the message that came up here.
Wow. I know the individual. Truly. Wow. That's wow. I am truly. You can take it how you want. You can say, well, Keith, don't. I'm telling you, you need to accept your kudos. I'm wowed by everything you said. Listen to the song. Listen to what's being said. In other words, play the game out to the end. Yes? Play the game out.
Yeah.
See what it's trying to tell you. That was effective for me. Thank you. I hope that
Absolutely.
worked. I have no doubt. I have no
Yeah.
doubt if he hears this, which he will.
Yeah.
Oh, some one way or the other, he will hear this. Thank you for that guiding. That was lovely, powerful at
Yeah,
that.
for sure. For sure.
So I want to play in your sandbox for a little while, if I may. What gets you as a teacher, speaker, going? What is the subject? In other words, what do you want to do right now?
Yeah. So let's dive into quantum leaping a little bit. Um, so there's a lot of like terminology that I use that may feel like it's over people's heads, like the fifth dimension or simultaneous or quantum. These it's just a lot of jargon for really all the same thing. And I just want to start off with explaining a little bit of the awakening. Like what so we're awakening. We're waking up in our reality. Cool. Then what? Where is that leading us? Where is this awakening going for us? What's the tangible outcome? So ultimately, I've been receiving this message, especially in this past year of 2019. It's a lot of messages I've been receiving in 2019. But ultimately, this is message of moving into this fifth dimension. Now, a lot of you should have or probably have heard of the ascension from third dimension into fifth dimension. And I've explained this in detail in many of my videos. So I'm not going to take the time today to explain it in full. But I want to talk about the fifth dimension and the awakening and raising your vibrational frequency to a higher state and a higher level. That process is basically the process of becoming more quantum. Now, all quantum really means is the smallest study of particles in the universe, right? Studying the smallest levels of this reality. But quantum, when you get into the quantum world, you start to understand that things do not exist within the traditional understanding of physics, which means that the quantum world does not necessarily exist within the same traditions of space and time. So I believe that in the quantum world, in the smallest of worlds, but really quantum also means simultaneous because the quantum world, space and time become simultaneous. Instead of going from point A to point B to point C, or from the past, the present, and the future, we actually stack the past, the present, and the future on top of each other. The quantum world is a simultaneous world. In order to understand where we're going, we need to understand that we're moving into a quantum state. So instead of, for example, in the third dimension reality, in our old reality, our old paradigm, if you want a new job, then you have to revamp your resume, print it out, walk to the place, send in your resume. And as much as I'd love to say, oh, wow, well, we're quantum leaping into this new state because we get to have our resume online and then send it off online. And in a way, space and time don't exist across the internet. So, in a way, that could be quantum as well. But I want to take it one step further and saying, if you were to sit at home and truly understand what you want and truly define the job that you want without even labeling what particular job that may be, and you put that out there and you align yourself to those frequencies, that job will literally land in your lap. Now, I don't want to give anyone an excuse to just, be passive and leave it to the universe and leave it to a quantum state. But I do want to open people's minds to say, it's time to start considering that we no longer have to be playing this game or struggle or suffer or let go of one aspect of our reality in order for us to have another aspect of our reality, right? We don't have to sacrifice anymore. We can have it all. We really can. And when you want that new job or you are asking for abundance in your life, as long as you don't have any sort of expectation or attachment around it, that money will just come into your life. You will quantum leap into a state where that is possible. So I just want to kind of like open up the door to kind of, what I've been tapping into and what kind of gets me going.
You know, what is his name? Daryl Anka Bashar.
Hmm.
He says, "You're shifting now. You're shifting now. You're shifting now. Right now, you are not in the same space that you were 10 seconds ago. You're not. You are constantly moving on every possible level of every possible element that makes up what you think is you, which is your meat suit. This is all moving through space, and energies are coming in, bombarding and transforming you and transmuting you, and you're lifting, you're falling, you're going sideways. Actually, you're not going down. You're not going side. You're always going up. There's only progress process. You can't ever really go backwards, because everything that you think you're stumbling on, when you stub your toe, you didn't fall to the ground. You may have fallen to the ground physically, but you just became enlightened to the idea of, when I'm not conscious, this thing just shows up in my life and causes me pain. So we're not really doing anything. We're just moving into these different dimensions of creator mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's cool because I've been playing with this concept a lot and trying to teach this concept in a rudimentary form. And you bring up a good point, which is, in this quantum reality, we need to get away from identification. And it's really scary for people to let go of their identity. And I'm not just talking about, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a mailman. It's not just that. It's, I'm an owner of a BMW. I am a mother. I am a daughter, right? Whatever your attachment may be, I am an owner of expensive products, or whatever that attachment may be, right? So, whatever that attachment, you create your identity within that attachment. What I've been teaching a lot of people these days is, you need to recreate your identity in every moment so that you're no longer creating this reverb of disappointment when you don't meet the expectations of the attachment to the identity that you formed in your mind, right? So I'll tell people this way. This is a perfect example. In this moment right now, I'm a coffee drinker. And maybe in half an hour from now, when I have tea, I'm going to be a tea drinker, right? In tomorrow, when I'm chilling at the pool, I'm someone who lounges around and doesn't really work. When I'm at my computer for 10 hours a day, guess what? I'm a workaholic, right? So as long as we're moving through life, constantly tuning in to two vibrations, our physical third density vibration and our non-physical density and beyond vibration, when we're tuning into both of our vibrations to say, all right, Elizabeth, like, what do you need right now? Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Do you have to go to the bathroom? Do you need
And
to
so,
make
and so
money?
what you are saying, what you are simply saying, you see, I can listen. When I listen, I hear beyond the words. I hear the silence
Yeah.
between the words you are saying. And what you are saying is, through all this stuff, like you said, right now I'm a coffee drinker. Tomorrow I may not drink coffee, or I may do this right now. So this is truly what quantum leaping actually is. People think it's you jump off this cliff because you're going to run and a wormhole's going to open up. You're going to whoosh, you slip into the. It can happen that way. It's not exclusive. It's inclusive, but what quantum jumping is, quantum leaping, opening up these wormholes, these stargates, these sacred hearts, in the words of Jesus, or whatever you want to call that cosmic womb. It's not like this. It's this big bang. It's truly just understanding the multiplicity of one's simple self.
Yeah, absolutely. And in order to harness quantum leaping, we need to be completing the past, because we are constantly acting and reacting with that fight or flight mentality. We're constantly in this state of acting or reacting based on previous thoughts. So we need to understand how the linear world works first in order to basically bypass the linear world and quantum leap into the world we want to leap into. So if you're hanging on to tons of energetic baggage, whether it be from childhood or past lifetimes, if you're hanging on to that, you're constantly acting and reacting to self-sabotage and recreate your idea of your reality, and then validate that idea of your reality, in every moment.
I love it. Oh my God. This is so in alignment with a dear friend of mine, Mr. Robert Tennyson Stevens. He's illumined. He's one of those kinds of cats that are so illumined. just being around him, people start fidgeting. It's amazing to watch. He says, any thought that you have that is not of the highest ideal contains self sabotage.
Absolutely. 100%. And if we really like honestly deep down, and I'm still a sucker for my own thoughts, so I'm preaching this, but I'm also like learning every day and practicing how to harness those thoughts, because I think scientifically we have like 50 to 80,000 thoughts per day, like if you could imagine. But if you really truly believe that that your thoughts are creating your reality, if you think about a fire, you're going to experience a fire, whether it be walking by someone on the street that says fire, or you see a fire, or you have a fireplace, or you just, when you think about it, it happens. And if we truly believe that every single thought we have is creating our next move, our next reality, our next, matrix experience, then we would be really aware of our thoughts. And what I believe is if we scrape out all the thoughts in our mind and we focus on two things, right? Really, truly just two things in our thoughts. One is, what do you want? Like, what's your next intention? Like, where are you moving into? Like, what's the life that you want? And visualizing, stepping in, vibrating with that reality, right? So the only thoughts that we should ever have, ever, are intentions. What is your next move? What is your next intention? It could be an intention of balance. You don't have to say, I want this new job with all this money. It could be an intention of balance. And then the second thought that we should only ever have is just these two. The second one is appreciation of what you have created. If we're constantly in flow, tuning into our next step in our reality with intention, and we're constantly moving and clearing the past with appreciation, then that's it. I mean, that's really the only thoughts that we should ever give any cadence to. Everything else is garbage, and it's reaffirming, or it's attaching, or it's expecting, or it's outside of ourselves. So we need to realize that we need to take responsibility over the reality that we have chosen, that we have created, and that no one else is creating your suffering. No one else. That's a huge step in the right direction within your awakening process. If you can take responsibility over your life, over your actions and reactions and experiences, then you can actually start to say, wow, if I created all of that, then what can I create moving forward? And that's when the world, the universe opens up to you.
A lot of people think that, taking what you just said, that if I can create that, they're thinking that I was born and I got this much time left, because they know how old they are, and the average human person lives this long. So they're thinking they have only this much time to create something different. This is not an interval involved here. This is not so mundane. This is more cosmic than you can imagine. You might as well get going now, because you got between now and forever to do it. So there's no rush, but there is a Christmas rush, if you will, that's transpiring, that you can help evolve yourself by using the momentum of this spin, this divine play of consciousness that is you. You are in the moving soup. You are the soup. You are the why the soup is bought by the customers in the first place. And I truly feel this kind of connection starting to happen between the world and the people. And of course, the divine ladle comes into play, because it has to scoop up all the nonsense. And as you were so awesomely describing, I call it noise. It's just noise. Everything is noise.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get out of the noise, something else begins to happen. In the quiet, in the silence, suddenly the new world appears. It seems like that's what it is. It's, you, me, many people, we can take people to the threshold, but you can't push them in, because that road is meant for you. No one goes with you. No one goes with you. It's yours. And it's through the noise and getting to the space of silence that the vision capacity gets greater. Would you say so?
Absolutely. I mean, all that, like I call it chaos frequency. So all of that chaos frequency around us, all of the distractions, all of the thoughts and everything, that is just anchoring and pulling us into this third dimension matrix reality. If you really want to ascend beyond the third dimension matrix, then you have to basically set it aside, quiet it, and really open up to see what else exists, and then you really step into that quantum world. So just like you mentioned, it's not like, oh, well, I'll get to that next year. If you want something, if you want to shift your life, even if you want to just have a better life than you have now, all you have to do is set the intention of, I am ready for change. Because change, okay, we're changing all the time, as you mentioned, but it's being ready for that. That's when the big change happens. That's when the big shifts happen. And I always ask my people, who here in the past 3 years, 3 or 4 years since 2016, has either changed their relationship, their living situation, or their job. And 99% of people are like, yeah, I did all three. Right. And in a sense, that is them stepping into that frequency of change. And all change ever does for us, because we've been programmed from such a young age, is elicit this vibration of fear. Why are we so scared of change? Because we're scared of the unknown, right? The fear of the unknown. And change creates this daunting aspect that we're stepping into unknown territory. When in reality, we've done it all before. This is nothing new for us. It's just new for maybe this incarnation right now. But we've already had all of the experiences you could ever imagine. So we know the outcomes of it. So change shouldn't be that scary, but we have to be willing to make that change in order to transmute, transform, and ascend.
You wear it so easy. You wear it so easy. It's just really, really cool to watch you in your fire. That's what it feels like to me, dear. It feels like a fire. It feels like if you're new to this level of purification, I want to show this banner. It kind of makes my point. It's one of my favorite simple creations. It's so simple. There's so much language encrypted. I think you would agree. Check it out.
Absolutely.
And so there's this feeling that at first, if you're new to this type of path, it feels like you're getting burned because you're being purified. But after a while, the heat becomes snuggly. It's like a warm blanket on a cold night by our fireplace, and you become invincible, and you feel this protection and this memory that never started, never will end. You become connected to something just so magnanimous. You wear that very effortlessly. That's really cool. It took me a lot of work to get there, and I'm still working my ass off.
But you know what? I think we're all these beautiful divine pieces of the puzzle. And I think the second that we get out of trying to conform, especially when we step into this spiritual realm, I have a lot of friends who are like, oh, I'm a vegan now. Okay, cool. Well, why? What do you mean, why? Oh, well, I'm a Reiki practitioner. Okay, cool. But what kind of healing do you want to do? What do you mean I'm doing Reiki? Okay, great. But what are you here for? Someone found their niche, they found their piece of the puzzle, and it was Reiki, and they created that modality, and that was great for them. But that doesn't fit the mold. Just because we're getting away from these kind of more linear 9 to 5 jobs, in a sense, we're still trying to fit into this mold. I mean, I believe that everyone is here for their own individual reason, and there are people who need to be a veterinarian, or need to be a lawyer, or need to be a bus driver, and you can make that shift, and you can make that impact in your own life. Not everyone is here for this beautiful divine spiritual path, and even those who are in the divine spiritual path get caught up in trying to conform themselves. We need to find why we're here as an individual, so that we can fulfill our life's purpose. So the information and knowledge that I have, that I wear so easily, in a sense, may not be the information that you are meant to be wearing. And the stuff that you are able to convey and transmute and transcend is the stuff that I don't necessarily wear very easily either. And that's where we kind of get this collective consciousness soup that tastes so good when all of the pieces and all of the ingredients are put together.
Wow, 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 wow. And I love a good soup. And it's
Me
we're
too.
so divisive. We've come from a lineage, a history of a beautiful time. It's all beauty, because there's not a blaming of, but we're going through this purification process. The lineage of a cursed old world ends with me. It ends with me. I'm not passing it on to my beautiful 14-year-old son who's sitting over here patiently waiting his dad's attention. I ain't gonna passing that curse on him. It ain't gonna happen. So it ends with me. And when we take that kind of posture, delivery, task, obligation, duty, just a simple wanting, things change. Things change because we're no longer thinking about what's in it for me, because the what's in it for me keeps us so mundanely focused. That's cool if that's where you want to dwell, but there is a ladder, a stepping stone, a way out. The way in is the way out. When we go in, we go up, and we go forward toward something. So what do you see as a psychic, intuitive, someone who is hanging out with others, that others among us can't see it all, but you see it all? What would you say? And this is not a pigeon-holding thing, but what do you see? What are your guides telling you about our near future? What is coming down the pike for us, dear?
Yeah, so I've kind of, I don't want to say I've made a lot of predictions, but I'm pretty in alignment with the flow of the planet and the awakening of humanity. Um, Overall, 2020, it depends. It's going to be a very divided year. Um, 2020 is either going to be a year of really incredible new foundations. I want to say that everyone who has done the work, which means the people who have changed their major foundations, the people who have had the ego death, the people who have really, gone through the trenches in a sense in the past couple of years and really been, dealing with a lot of old energy and releasing and health issues and all of that. Those people are really in for a beautiful year of 2020. It's about building your foundations, understanding your purpose, understanding where you fit in into the cosmic soup, and then moving forward on that, and moving into a new direction. So a lot of new, new, new. Those of us who have not necessarily done the work and gone through the trenches and had those ego deaths, and unfortunately, I've done a lot of channeling on my clients, which are mostly female. Their husbands, okay, are going to be experiencing extreme amounts of collapses, ego deaths, realizations, breakdowns, job losses, freak accidents, all of that shit that has been hitting all of us in the past couple of years are going to hit the rest of humanity, not just in 2019 or 2020. Typically, it's more so people who are connected to very divine teachers who are going to be going through the ego death in 2020. But my prediction, what I've really seen a lot and what the Galactic Federation has relayed to me, is that 2020 and between 2020 and 2024, we're going to see a huge breakdown of a lot of the structures within society, political, economic, social, mass media. We've already seen a lot of, pedophile rings and those kind of dirty energies on this planet be shut down. And we're going to see more of that collapse moving forward between that 4-year period. After 2024, I really think that we're going to start as a collective, we're going to start to reestablish new foundations with this younger generation that really has a lot of surprises in store of sustainability. That's what we're moving into. We're moving into a much more sustainable future in all of the aspects of the collective society. And of course, at an individual level, we are breaking down our own reality. We're breaking down our own programming, our own house of cards in a sense. And we're stepping into, once again, a more wholesome, integral, authentic, and sustainable existence within ourselves, because we're not projecting, because we're not lying, because we're not, faking this life of like, I'm really happy. No.
Tonight we're talking about, tonight my guest is beautiful Elizabeth April, and we're speaking about quantum leaping. And though we didn't actually use that term, this is all quantum leaping. You may say, whoever you are, as I look around the world, I don't see this beautiful thing happening, because you have not shifted to the vibration where suddenly within the silence the new world appears. You can't see it. We're not here to convince you, but I am here to convince you. I'm trying to say, listen to me. God dang it, listen to me. I've been there. It does exist. It does exist. And what you do is shh. all of it. Yeah, but you already missed the mark. Just stop it all. Just stay still. Be still. Like Muji says, just say thank you. If you have to utter a vibration yourself, just say thank you. And so I see this happening, congealing, coalescing before my heart, not my eyes. In this world today, as you, is there anything in our closing statements that you would like to offer up that might help others? What could seem like a very dark situation, their personal life, their city, their community, the world, depending on where they are in their conscious vibration, that might offer a way out into a blissful place a little easier.
Absolutely, yeah. I would say it offers a way in, to be honest, because you're literally just connecting with pure source within yourself. Ultimately, my end message to humanity would be hang in there and don't get caught up in a projection of the outside world. Just because you've done the work and you've gone through the trenches doesn't mean that you have to continue to suffer for everyone else just because you feel what they're going through. A lot of us are empaths. A lot of us are waking up. A lot of us are realizing the truth. But a lot of us are also getting very stuck in trying to bring everyone you love into the same place that you are in. So the most important thing is it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to give back to yourself. It's okay to connect to that divine love and that divine oneness, and hang in there because things are transmuting and moving faster than we might think.
I think getting back to yourself is actually first and foremost important. It's beyond anything else. Until you grasp, understand, integrate with who you are at a mundane, minute level, how can we ever grasp the majesty of infinity, which has a divine nature? So I love that. I think it's about coming back to you. Yeah, but I seem a little selfish. Good for you. You're not selfish. You're self full. You're filling yourself with your desires. Somewhere along the line, your ass has been whipped because someone told you that you don't deserve such grandeur. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. And when you do, you get high on something else that is beyond what you have always known. That's the dance. That's why you came here. It's just to simply play the game. You said, "Can I go play the game, Daddy? Please, please." Daddy said, "Go ahead." The wheel is spinning. I'm no longer a pawn. I'm on chutes and ladders. I'm going up Jacob's ladder. Thank you for joining me. I had a blast.
Yeah, thank you
Any
so
books
much.
in the works? Any major events? I know that you are starting to ascend
Hmm.
in the social media way. In other words, you're getting some recognition and your work is starting to take off for you. And I think that's a beautiful validation. What do you have going, dear?
Yeah, so right now I have a variety of things for 2020, maybe too many things, but I'm hosting international retreats, helping people expand and awaken and connect and open their third eye and all of that in person, which is so fulfilling for me to kind of see and interact with people one on one. I'm also conducting an online school as well, helping people shift from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. And then I just wrote a book. So I'm pitching a book to major publishing companies. And I'm also pitching my own TV show to a bunch of networks and producers right now as well. So I've got a lot of things in the works and planting all the right seeds. And I just feel so divinely taken care of by the universe. And I have no expectation or attachment of what's going to happen, but I'm in flow. So yeah, so definitely check out YouTube, Facebook, Instagram for anyone who's more interested in getting more of this information and content. Thank you so much for having me on.
I really enjoyed it. If something arises and you just want to need a shout out to some people, just contact me. We can chat a lot. I love
Cool.
supporting people. I love supporting beautiful work. I love supporting people of all arts, not just spiritual, because you as an artist or a dancer, it is spiritual and it is artsy.
Mhm.
And I love supporting those people who are living in the heart. Thank you, dear. Blessings to you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Everyone, Elizabeth April, and we have been talking tonight about different levels of reality. Not levels, it's not a level, it's what you are. You are the omnipresent spirit when you realize who walks beside you. you will never be afraid again. What does that mean? It doesn't mean a someone. Sometimes humility is an important thing. So we create a someone to revere. And in our reverence and humility, something else happens. This is actually what we're speaking about tonight. Quantum leaping. God is everywhere. Everything is possible. Infinitely. Keith Anthony Blanchard is Center of Light Radio. Thank you for joining me. I will be seeing you soon. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, pizza, cheeseburger, whatever it is that floats your boat. Make yourself happy. Whatever that means to you, my words to you is I love you. Enjoy the holiday season. Be the light. You live in the light already. Be conscious of it. Life gets juicy real quick.
See inside.